What if I told you that the greatest battles of your life are not fought with others, but within yourself? Have you ever stopped to wonder why, even when surrounded by criticism, gossip, or disrespect, some people remain completely unshaken, almost untouchable in their serenity? A strong heart doesn't get corrupted by weak mouths, and that truth alone could transform the way you see your struggles. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. When you think about it, true strength is not about shouting louder, proving yourself to those who doubt you, or wasting time trying to convince people who will never understand you. True strength is found in maintaining integrity despite the noise around you. Has this ever happened to you? That moment when people question your worth, criticize your choices, or try to drag you into pointless arguments, and you feel the urge to respond, to defend yourself, to fight back. And yet, deep down, you know that not every conflict deserves your energy. This is the lesson most people miss. Peace is more valuable than being right in front of a fool. Every time you decide not to enter into unnecessary fights, you're not giving up, you're preserving your inner power. Think about that for a moment. How much of your time and energy have you lost trying to prove yourself to those who never truly saw your value? What if you chose differently? What if you decided that your peace, your balance, and your heart are worth more than any outside opinion? A strong heart doesn't just endure, it resists contamination. It knows that dignity cannot be begged for, it must be lived. And when you learn to walk away from the noise, you begin to understand something deeper. Your silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. What you allow continues. What you stop feeding eventually withers. And sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is to step back, stay calm, and protect your energy. What you're about to discover might surprise you, because the secret is not about how to confront every single challenge. It's about knowing which battles are not yours to fight. Not all conflicts deserve your energy, and learning this could save you from countless nights of restlessness and frustration. Your peace is your treasure, and how you protect it defines your path forward. Stay with me until the end, because we're going to explore truths that most people overlook their entire lives. Imagine what your life would feel like if you stopped chasing approval, if you stopped letting every little offense dictate your emotions. How would your days look if you became untouchable in your serenity, guided by the clarity of your own self-respect? We often believe that walking away is defeat, but in reality, walking away is sometimes the highest form of strength. It says, I know my worth, and I will not let this noise define me. Has this ever happened to you, where you felt tempted to engage in someone else's chaos, but instead you chose calm, and in that calm you found freedom? That is the power of discernment. That is the art of protecting your heart. As we move forward, we'll dive deeper into how to cultivate this resilience, how to strengthen the walls of your inner sanctuary so that no weak words can bring them down. Because once you understand where to place your energy, and more importantly, where not to, you'll realize that peace isn't something you stumble upon by chance. It's something you choose, moment by moment, in the way you respond to the world around you. And in just a moment, you'll see why choosing silence over noise and wisdom over reaction might be the most liberating decision of your life. Before we dive deeper, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the powerful insights we share here. Each video is designed to bring you clarity, transformation, and the mindset shifts that can truly impact your journey. There comes a moment in life when you realize that not every battle deserves a warrior. Walking away can be more powerful than fighting, because there are conflicts designed not to test your strength, but to drain it. And what many people never learn is that clarity matters far more than being understood. You can spend years trying to prove your worth to those who refuse to see it, only to discover that the real victory was never theirs to give. It was yours to claim all along. When you choose clarity over confrontation, you take back control of your own narrative. You're no longer playing in someone else's storm. You're standing firmly in your own calm. Self-respect is the compass that keeps you from wandering into unnecessary tempests. Think of it like a lighthouse in the middle of chaos. It doesn't shout, it doesn't move, it simply shines, guiding you back to safety. This is the hidden truth behind strength. It isn't loud, it isn't desperate, it isn't even obvious to the outside world. It's silent, steady, and unshakable. There's a subtle transformation that happens when you stop needing to be understood by everyone. Suddenly, your peace no longer depends on approval. Imagine the impact that could have on your daily life, the freedom of walking into a room and knowing that whether they applaud or ignore you, your value remains untouched. That's the kind of mindset shift that turns ordinary lives into extraordinary journeys. Behind the scenes of every peaceful soul, there is a decision made over and over again. The decision to protect peace rather than prove a point, and it's never easy. The ego screams to respond, to defend, to fight back. But wisdom whispers that peace is more valuable than proving you're right. The wise understand that energy is precious, that life is short, and that every minute wasted in an empty battle is a minute stolen from growth, love, and purpose. Think about it. How many storms have you stepped into that weren't even yours? How many arguments, conflicts, or dramas have you carried that added nothing but weight to your heart? The more you reflect on it, the clearer it becomes. Walking away isn't losing. It's choosing not to spend your life entangled in someone else's chaos. This is where the journey of self-respect deepens. To know your worth is to draw a line, not with anger, but with quiet certainty. Your compass points you away from what drains you and toward what builds you. It doesn't mean you never feel the pull to respond. It means you master the art of restraint, and that mastery is liberation. The world may call it indifference, but you know it's wisdom. The world may see it as weakness, but in truth, it's the highest form of strength. There's a revelation hidden in this balance. When you no longer fight to be right, you begin to see life with new eyes. You start to notice beauty where there was noise, opportunities where there was conflict, and growth where there was only resistance. This is transformation at its purest, the shift from needing to prove yourself to simply embodying your truth. And once you've tasted that kind of peace, you'll never want to give it up again. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because there is still so much to uncover about the hidden power of serenity and the way it reshapes the path you walk. But before we move forward, I'd love to know your perspective. Write in the comments, peace over battles. Share it because it will remind you of the power you already carry, and because someone else reading might need that exact phrase today. Silence can be louder than words, and yet it's one of the most misunderstood forms of strength. People often confuse silence with surrender, as if choosing not to respond means you've lost. But the hidden truth is that silence, when chosen with clarity and dignity, is not weakness at all. It's a declaration of power. It says, I don't need to prove anything to you. My peace is proof enough. And when you withdraw without resentment, but with elegance, you preserve something far more precious than the fleeting satisfaction of being right. You preserve your essence. Think about how much energy is wasted in explaining yourself to those who have no intention of listening, or trying to justify your worth to those who have already decided not to see it. Your energy is sacred. It's the very fuel that sustains your transformation, your growth, your daily journey. Yet how often do we spend it recklessly, handing it over to arguments, conflicts, and endless cycles of negativity that add nothing to our lives? The impact of this is enormous, not just emotionally, but physically. It drains creativity, clarity, and even the courage needed to move forward. Protecting your energy is not selfish, it's survival, and more than that, it's self-respect in action. Behind the scenes of every life that feels balanced, there are decisions made quietly, without applause, without recognition. The decision not to reply, the decision to walk away, the decision to invest energy only where it nourishes. These are not small choices. They are revelations in themselves. Moments where you realize that your freedom doesn't depend on what others say or do. It depends on your ability to decide where spirit will rest. And sometimes, the greatest act of courage is to choose silence over noise, restraint over reaction, calm over chaos. Kindness has often been misunderstood. 2. We're told to be kind, to be patient, to forgive endlessly. But kindness does not mean tolerating disrespect. Allowing someone to trample your boundaries isn't compassion, it's self-betrayal. True kindness starts within. It's the voice that whispers that you deserve peace, that your inner freedom matters, that you have the right to walk away from what diminishes you. The mindset shift happens when you realize that protecting yourself isn't cruelty. It's honoring the very gift of life you've been given. And here's a revelation many people resist. When you allow disrespect in the name of kindness, you teach others that your worth is negotiable. But when you stand firm, when you protect your inner freedom, you send a very different message. I know who I am, and I won't allow anything less than respect. This isn't arrogance. It's clarity. It's a journey back to yourself, a reminder that boundaries are not walls, but bridges to healthier, more authentic connections. Think for a moment about the impact this could have in your life if applied consistently. Every argument avoided, every drama sidestepped, every insult left unanswered becomes a brick in the foundation of your serenity. It's a slow, quiet transformation, but its results echo in everything you do. Your decisions become clearer, your relationships healthier, your future brighter, all because you refuse to waste sacred energy on what was never worthy of it. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because what follows is the subtle but powerful art of turning silence, respect, and self-protection into a mindset that guides every step of your journey. It's a path that doesn't just change the way you deal with conflict, it changes the way you see yourself in the midst of it all. Before we move forward, let me ask you to reflect. Have you ever experienced the liberation of staying silent when everything in you wanted to react? Write in the comments. Silence is strength. Share it not only as a reminder to yourself, but also because someone else might need those exact words today, right now, more than you imagine. Retreating isn't cowardice. It's one of the most profound forms of self-love. Society often paints retreat as weakness, as if stepping back means surrendering. But the hidden truth is that walking away is sometimes the bravest decision you can make. It's an act of protection, a declaration that your serenity is worth more than the endless cycle of conflict. When you choose serenity over chaos, you're not escaping, you're elevating. You're showing that your inner peace is the truest victory, one that no argument or confrontation could ever give you. There is a quiet power in choosing absence over forced presence. Your absence can speak louder than your presence when that presence is being undervalued, dismissed, or taken for granted. Disappearing doesn't mean vanishing without meaning. It means letting the void you leave behind carry the message your words could never express. Think about the impact of that silence. A person may forget your arguments, but they will never forget the weight of your absence. It becomes a mirror, reflecting their own behavior, revealing the cost of their disregard. Sometimes the lesson isn't in your explanation, it's in your decision to no longer stand where you are diminished. This shift in perspective creates a deep transformation. It forces you to recognize that integrity matters far more than approval. Chasing validation is like pouring water into a broken vessel. It will never be enough, no matter how much you give. But when you protect your integrity, you stop seeking permission to be yourself. You stop bending to fit into spaces that were never designed to hold your light. Behind the scenes of every person who radiates true confidence, there is a mindset built on this revelation, that the opinions of others are temporary, but the betrayal of yourself lingers forever. Every decision you make becomes a compass pointing to one of two directions toward your essence or away from it. When you choose to invest your time and heart in people who see your value, you nurture growth. But when you pour yourself into those who only dim your light, you lose more than time, you lose clarity. And clarity is the very foundation of freedom. Imagine the journey of your life like a path illuminated by torches. Each torch represents your values, your dreams, your self-respect. The moment you let someone blow out one of those flames, you walk deeper into the shadows, unable to see where you're headed. Protecting that light is not just about self-preservation, it's about keeping your way forward visible. The impact of these choices can reshape not only your relationships, but your entire mindset. When you no longer fear retreat, you become uncheckable. When you no longer chase approval, you become untouchable. And when you stop investing in what diminishes you, you open space for what truly builds you. This is the hidden truth that so many ignore. You don't have to fight to win. You win every time you choose not to give your energy to what was never worthy of it. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because there's an even greater strength that unfolds when you understand how absence, serenity, and integrity converge into a single force that guides your journey. It's the kind of force that not only changes how you navigate conflict, but redefines the very way you experience yourself in the world. Before we continue, I want to hear from you. Have you ever felt the liberation of walking away from something that no longer served you? Put down in the comments, "I choose serenity." Write it as a personal reminder of your own strength. And because your words might be exactly what someone else needs to read today, letting go isn't weakness. It's the ultimate act of power and clarity. For so long we've been taught that holding on, persisting, and fighting for everything is the only way to prove strength. But in truth, sometimes the greatest decision you can make is to release what no longer aligns with who you are becoming. There is a hidden truth behind this. Holding on can often be an illusion of control, while letting go is a declaration of freedom. The impact of that choice is profound, because it means you value your inner journey more than the approval of those who will never understand your path. When you let go, you step into transformation. It's not about abandoning responsibilities or avoiding challenges. It's about recognizing the difference between persistence that nourishes and attachment that drains. Think about how many times you've held on to a relationship, a situation, or even a thought pattern, only to feel it weigh heavier with every passing day. That heaviness isn't growth, it's resistance. True growth comes when you realize that clarity isn't found in clinging, it's found in release. The strongest voice to follow is your own. It may sound simple, almost obvious, yet, in a world filled with endless noise and opinions, this becomes one of the hardest truths to live by. Behind the scenes of your daily life, voices compete for your attention: friends, family, society, even your own doubts whispering conflicting directions. But flourishing doesn't come from fighting every shadow that appears. Shadows are endless, and battling them only drains your light. Flourishing comes from turning toward your own inner compass, following the quiet but steady guidance of awe. Self-trust. That's the mindset that transforms fear into courage and hesitation into progress. Imagine walking through a crowded room, voices calling from every corner, each one telling you who you should be, what you should do, how you should act. Now imagine, in the middle of all that noise, there is one voice, your own, calm, firm, and clear. Following that voice may feel lonely at first, but it's the only one that leads to authenticity. And authenticity is the soil where real transformation takes root. Your worth doesn't decrease if others fail to see it. This is one of the most liberating revelations you will ever experience. Too often we measure ourselves through the blurred vision of others, forgetting that their blindness is not our burden. If someone cannot recognize your value, it doesn't mean it isn't there. Their inability to see doesn't diminish your brilliance. It only exposes the limits of their perception. Think about how a diamond remains a diamond whether it is admired or ignored. Its essence doesn't change based on the observer. Neither does yours. The journey toward this realization is not without challenges. It requires decisions that may look harsh from the outside: walking away from validation, refusing to shrink to fit, holding your ground even when misunderstood. But this is where integrity and clarity intersect. When you embrace the truth that your value is intrinsic, that it isn't tied to applause or recognition, you step into a mindset where freedom becomes natural. You stop begging for space in someone else's story and begin writing your own with confidence. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because understanding how to live from this place of clarity and self-trust opens doors to a kind of strength that cannot be shaken by rejection or indifference. It's the quiet force that keeps you centered, no matter how loud the world becomes. And I'd love for you to reflect on this right now. Have you ever felt the weight of someone's blindness to your worth and then discovered the freedom of not needing their approval? If this resonates with you, write in the comments, "I know my worth." Do it not just as a statement, but as a reminder to yourself and as encouragement to anyone else who needs to hear those words today. Sometimes the greatest response is not a carefully crafted explanation or a passionate defense, but simply your back turned. There is a hidden truth in that act. Turning away with dignity is often louder than any words you could have spoken. It's not indifference, it's clarity. It's the choice to let your silence be a declaration of strength, a statement that requires no justification. When you stop engaging with what seeks to diminish you, you stop fueling it, and in that space, your energy returns to you, untouched and whole. Silence is not empty. It is layered with intention. Behind the scenes, it carries the weight of your decisions, the firmness of your boundaries, the quiet courage of your self-respect. To an outside observer, silence may look passive, but in reality, it is a shield sharper than any blade. It doesn't need to cut, it disarms. It confuses those who expect conflict, and it frees you from playing a role in someone else's drama. That's the revelation few are willing to accept. You don't always have to fight to prove strength. Sometimes you just have to refuse the invitation to chaos. Be so calm that contempt bounces off you, because serenity has a power that anger will never achieve. Picture yourself as a still lake. Throw a stone into it, and though ripples may form, the surface always returns to calm. That's the essence of true strength, not in the absence of disturbance, but in the ability to return to stillness, no matter how many stones are cast. Your serenity is your shield, not because it blocks life, but because it absorbs the noise without letting it define you. Imagine the impact of living like that, where no insult, no slight, no attempt to pull you down could reach your center. That kind of composure isn't built overnight, but with each decision to stay calm instead of reacting, you train your mind and heart into a new mindset, one that elevates rather than entangles. Respect is not something you chase, it's something you embody. When you carry yourself with integrity, when your actions align with your truth, when your boundaries are firm yet graceful, you naturally radiate respect. The irony is that the more you chase it, the further it slips away. But when you embody it, you stop asking for it and start inspiring it. People may not admit it, but they feel it. They sense it in the way you carry yourself, in the way you choose not to answer every provocation, in the way your withdrawal teaches more than your arguments ever could. Walking away doesn't mean you're defeated. It means you've chosen to teach a lesson through absence, to show that your energy cannot be purchased with disrespect. This is the hidden power of withdrawal. It reshapes the entire dynamic. Those who thrive on your reactions are left with nothing to feed on. Those who underestimated you are forced to confront the silence you leave behind. And you, instead of being consumed by confrontation, preserve your energy for the journey ahead, a journey that demands clarity, transformation, and strength of spirit. Every time you choose withdrawal over argument, you reclaim a piece of yourself that might have been lost in conflict. That reclamation is not just self-love, it's liberation. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because understanding how serenity, silence, and embodied respect intertwine creates a force that can change not only your relationships, but the way you navigate life itself. It becomes the unseen armor that allows you to walk through storms without carrying them inside you. And I'd love for you to reflect for a moment. Have you ever felt the strength of choosing silence over reaction and realized it left a greater impact than any words could? If so, write in the comments, "Silence is my strength." Say it as both a reminder to yourself and as encouragement for others who might be fighting battles that don't deserve their energy. Live as if you already have respect. That single mindset shift can transform the way you move through the world. Too often, people waste their days trying to earn validation, chasing approval as if it were oxygen. But when you carry yourself as though respect is already yours, something changes. Your posture, your tone, your energy, all of it begins to radiate a quiet authority that no one can ignore. This isn't arrogance, it's clarity. It's a decision to stop lowering yourself into endless arguments with shadows that can never touch your essence. You don't wrestle with illusions. You don't waste your fire trying to light a space that was never meant to recognize your glow. Instead, you walk with the unshuckable truth that what you embody is enough, whether it is celebrated or not. Protecting your inner peace becomes the natural extension of this truth. And let's be honest, peace is not a luxury. It's a necessity. It's the ground you stand on when everything else is shaking. It's the voice that steadies you when offense, judgment, or provocation come your way. Peace is the foundation for clear decisions, for wise responses, for authentic growth. That's why it's non-negotiable. You don't trade it to win an argument. You don't sacrifice it to prove a point. And you don't bargain it away to gain fleeting approval. Every time you answer offense with dignity instead of retaliation, you show the world that your serenity cannot be purchased. And in doing so, you also teach yourself something powerful, that no one has the authority to pull you out of alignment unless you hand them the keys. This is where transformation quietly takes place, behind the scenes, in the choices no one applauds. You choose not to respond, not to retaliate, not to give your energy to what depletes you. From the outside, it might look like indifference, but the hidden truth is that indifference is often the highest form of compassion for yourself. It's the refusal to allow someone else's chaos to live rent-free in your heart. It's saying, I value myself too much to let this poison take root. Distance, in this sense, becomes one of the kindest choices you can make. It's not about punishment. It's about preservation. It's about drawing a line that says, my energy is sacred, and I choose not to spend it here. Think about the impact of this mindset on your journey. How many times have you felt exhausted, not from the battles of life itself, but from the battles you didn't even need to fight? Imagine reclaiming that energy and redirecting it into your growth, your vision, your future. Imagine the revelations that could come when your mind is no longer cluttered by endless conflict, but free to dream, to create, to simply be. That's what inner peace unlocks. It's the silent partner in your transformation, the shield that allows you to keep moving forward without carrying unnecessary weight. The decisions you make about where to place your energy shape the story you are writing. Every withdrawal from negativity is a declaration of strength. Every step away from what disrespects you is a step closer to the life you deserve. And every moment of indifference to noise is an act of compassion toward yourself. These aren't just small reactions. They're turning points. They're the subtle but profound shifts that define your path. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you begin to live from this place of embodied respect and uncompromised peace, a whole new dimension of strength reveals itself, one that isn't about control, but about freedom. It's a kind of freedom that allows you to move lightly even through heavy days, because your worth, your serenity, and your boundaries are no longer up for debate, and I'd love to hear from you. Has there been a moment when you realized that stepping back or choosing distance was actually the kindest decision you could make for yourself? If so, put down in the comments, peace is my priority. Write it as both a reminder for your own journey and as encouragement for others who may be learning the same lesson. Don't try to ignite hearts with no spark. There is a hidden truth here that often goes unnoticed. Not every person is meant to understand your fire, and not every space is meant to hold your light. Trying to convince those who choose blindness to see will only leave you exhausted, dimming yourself in the process. Your peace doesn't need spectators. It doesn't require applause, validation, or witnesses. Peace is most authentic when it exists quietly, away from the eyes of others, anchored deep within you. It's the kind of serenity that stands even when misunderstood, because it was never built on external approval in the first place. There is a transformation that happens when you stop trying to light flames in hearts that have no intention of burning. You realize that your energy is sacred, and that by withdrawing from those futile efforts, you preserve the fuel that actually sustains your journey. It's a mindset shift that frees you from the endless cycle of proving, convincing, or explaining yourself to people who are not ready to listen. The impact of this decision is immediate. You feel lighter, clearer, and more centered. You begin to see that the true audience for your peace is yourself. Distance, in this context, becomes a medicine far more powerful than revenge. Revenge may offer a fleeting sense of satisfaction, but it ties you to the very pain you're trying to escape. Distance, on the other hand, releases you. It allows wounds to heal in silence, without the constant reopening that retaliation always brings. Freedom comes from self-respect, from the decision to no longer place yourself where you are diminished. This is not escape, it is liberation. Behind the scenes, it is the quiet revolution of choosing yourself, not out of pride, but out of clarity. Every act of self-respect is an act of freedom. It's a declaration that your dignity is not negotiable, that your worth cannot be debated, and that your future is too valuable to waste on battles that lead nowhere. Think of how much energy is spent when people try to prove themselves to those who will never appreciate it. Now imagine redirecting that same energy into building, into creating, into becoming. That is the hidden truth of distance. It gives you back to yourself. Indifference often carries a stigma, as if it were coldness or cruelty. But indifference, when rooted in self-awareness, is the highest form of self-care. It's the decision not to let every opinion, every judgment, every whisper dictate how you feel about your life. What others think loses power as you grow, because you begin to understand that their thoughts belong to them, not to you. Their judgment is a reflection of their own limitations, not a verdict on your worth. This mindset shift opens the door to a new kind of peace, the kind that isn't shaken by praise or pierced by criticism. You stop being a prisoner of perception and start being the guardian of your own serenity. The impact is profound. Your relationships change, your decisions sharpen, your confidence deepens. You learn that caring for yourself sometimes means not caring about every opinion around you. And far from making you cold, this indifference makes you warmer, because you're no longer drained by battles that never mattered. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when you fully embrace the freedom that comes from self-respect and the healing power of distance, you discover a strength that doesn't just protect you, it transforms the way you live. It's the hidden strength of choosing silence over noise, clarity over chaos, and peace over battles that don't belong to you. And I'd like you to reflect for a moment. Have you ever noticed how liberating it feels when someone's opinion suddenly stops controlling how you see yourself? If this resonates, write in the comments, "My peace is mine." Share it as a reminder to yourself, and also because those words might be the encouragement. Someone else needs to break free from the weight of external judgment. Respect lost is rarely regained. Once someone crosses that line, once dignity is fractured, it rarely returns to its original form. And that is why holding your head high as you walk away is so powerful. You're not leaving in defeat, you're leaving as a statement. It's a quiet revelation that says your worth is non-negotiable, that you would rather walk alone with dignity than remain in a place where your value is questioned. Walking away is not about pride, it's about clarity. It's the mindset of someone who understands that the preservation of self-respect outweighs the illusion of reconciliation with those who never intended to honor you in the first place. And as you walk away, you begin to notice something fascinating. Your inner light will bother some people. It always has. Not everyone celebrates authenticity. Not everyone welcomes the glow of confidence. Not everyone can handle the presence of someone who refuses to shrink. But here lies a hidden truth. Your voice remains powerful even in silence. You don't have to shout to be heard. You don't have to prove yourself to be recognized. Even when you say nothing, your very stance, your composure, your ability to withdraw with elegance carries more impact than 1,000 explanations ever could. Behind the scenes, it is your calm refusal to be diminished that echoes the loudest. This journey is not without its tests. There will always be provocations, moments when the temptation to lower yourself and respond in kind feels overwhelming. But don't lower yourself to match disrespect. When you do, you allow yourself to be dragged into a battlefield that was never yours to begin with. Self-control is worth more than loud victories, because it is the kind of strength that endures beyond the moment. Anyone can scream, anyone can retaliate, Anyone can throw back what was thrown at them. But it takes discipline, courage, and vision to rise above, to remain untouchable, to keep your peace intact. That is the victory that truly lasts. Think of it like this. Every time you respond with self-control instead of retaliation, you are writing a different story for yourself. You are choosing transformation over reaction, growth over stagnation, peace over chaos. This is where the deepest impact is felt, not in the noise of confrontation, but in the clarity of restraint. That's where your mindset becomes a shield, guiding you through storms without letting them inside you. And with each decision to protect your composure, you become stronger, freer, and more aligned with the life you are meant to create. There's a hidden truth many don't see. The greatest victories often happen in silence. They're not celebrated in the moment, not shared with applause, but felt deeply within. It's the strength to walk away when disrespected, the courage to shine even when it bothers others, and the wisdom to value self-control above any hollow triumph. Those victories are invisible to the crowd, but they transform you behind the scenes, shaping you into someone who doesn't need recognition to know their worth. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you fully embrace the discipline of silence, the shield of serenity, and the authority of self-respect, you begin to see life differently. You begin to understand that your power has never been in proving yourself to others, but in standing firm in who you already are. And I'd like you to reflect for a moment. Have you ever felt that keeping your composure gave you more strength than fighting back ever could? If so, write in the comments, "Composure is my power." Say it as a reminder to yourself, and also as encouragement to others who are learning the same lesson in their own journey. Your dignity blooms in those moments when you choose not to react. Think about that for a second. True dignity isn't tested when everything is calm. It's tested when the provocation comes, when someone's words or actions are designed to pull you out of yourself. That's when your silence becomes a revelation, not of weakness, but of strength. Because while others waste their energy trying to justify, explain, or even beg to be understood, you stand firm in your wholeness. You don't need to convince anyone of who you are. The more you resist the urge to react, the more your presence speaks for itself, and it speaks volumes. Behind the scenes of every great transformation, there is this quiet discipline, letting others twist in their own explanations while you simply remain complete. Dragging your soul through the mud of others is never worth the cost. When you entangle yourself in their chaos, you risk staining your own clarity. And yet, the hidden truth is that most of the time, people will try to pull you down because they can't rise up themselves. If you follow them into the mud, you lose sight of who you are and what you stand for. But when you hold on to your peace, when you let it be the only mirror you need, you step into a different kind of power. Your peace reflects your essence, your mindset, your decisions. It becomes the evidence of your growth. The impact is undeniable. No matter how much others try to provoke, they are left fighting shadows while you keep walking with light. This journey demands composure, and composure is nothing less than inner courage. It's the hidden strength that doesn't shout, doesn't boast, doesn't seek attention. It's the quiet steadiness that allows you to remain unmoved in the face of chaos. And here's the revelation. Your serenity is your greatest defense. Not anger, not retaliation, not even clever words, just serenity. Because serenity disarms. It removes the fuel that conflict needs to burn. It leaves those who seek to harm you with nothing to hold on to, nothing to feed off of. And instead of being consumed, you conserve your energy, redirect it, and use it for your own transformation. The impact of this discipline is profound. With composure, you stop being reactive and start being intentional. Your decisions become clearer. Your journey feels lighter. You no longer give away pieces of yourself in battles that don't matter, and instead, you invest in growth that truly transforms. Behind the scenes, your silence builds resilience, your serenity builds confidence, and your refusal to be dragged into the mud builds freedom. It's not about ignoring reality, it's about mastering it. It's about realizing that the only victory worth having is the one where you remain intact, whole, and untouchable. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you understand that composure is not passive, but an act of courage, you begin to see life differently. You begin to realize that your greatest strength has never been in how loud you can shout, but in how firmly you can stand without saying a word. And I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever felt that staying calm in the face of provocation made you stronger than reacting ever could? If so, write in the comments, "Serenity is my strength." Write it as a reminder for yourself and as a spark of encouragement for anyone else walking this same path. Elegance is leaving without harm. It's the art of stepping away without dragging chaos behind you, without the need to damage, to retaliate, or to prove anything. That kind of departure is powerful because it speaks of someone who knows their truth, doesn't need validation. When you reach that mindset, you stop spending energy trying to be understood by those committed to misunderstanding you. Walking away becomes less about escape and more about liberation, a quiet transformation. That shows your strength isn't in how much noise you can make, but in how gracefully you can choose peace over drama. The impact of this choice is deeper than it appears. It allows you to carry your dignity untouched, while others are left to wrestle with the weight of their own actions. Respect, in its purest form, often means knowing when to end bonds at the right time. This isn't always easy. Sometimes it feels like cutting off a part of yourself, but clinging to something that constantly diminishes you only erodes your sacred center. Protecting that center is not selfish, it's essential. It's the foundation from which all your growth, all your clarity, all your transformation flows. Behind the scenes, your sacred center is the compass that guides you. And when you allow relationships, environments, or habits that constantly violate that space to remain, you blur the direction of your journey. Respecting yourself sometimes means making the hardest decisions, letting go of what you once thought you couldn't live without, only to discover that life opens in unimaginable ways once you do. Life is short, and living with the awareness of how fragile time really is changes everything. Most people move through their days as if they had endless chances, endless tomorrows, endless opportunities to fix what's broken. But the truth is, every moment is a gift that won't return. Living like someone who knows time is fragile forces you to realign your priorities. You begin to see clearly that what you think shapes who you are, and that your inner dialogue becomes the architecture of your reality. If your thoughts are heavy, your life feels heavy. If your thoughts are rooted in clarity and strength, your actions begin to mirror that strength. This is where mindset becomes more than a concept. It becomes the very lens through which you experience the world. Imagine two people facing the same obstacle. One thinks, "This is the end," while the other thinks, "This is the lesson." The obstacle hasn't changed, but the outcome has, because the perspective shifted. That's the hidden truth most people miss. Life is less about what happens to you, and more about what you choose to think about it. Your thoughts either limit you or liberate you. They either chain you to what no longer serves you, or they propel you into a journey of transformation, where even pain becomes part of your growth. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you start aligning your thoughts with the reality you want to create, everything else begins to transform. You stop living as a prisoner of circumstance and begin walking as the architect of your own story. And that's where your real power is not in controlling the world, but in mastering the way you see and respond to it. So let me ask you, have you ever noticed how changing just one thought shifted the way you felt about everything around you? If this resonates with you, write in the comments, "My thoughts shape my reality." Not only will it serve as a reminder to yourself, but it might also inspire someone else to reclaim their mindset and see how much power is already within them. The obstacle is the way. At first glance, that idea feels almost contradictory. How can something standing in your path actually be the path itself? Yet the hidden truth is that obstacles are rarely there to stop you. They are there to shape you. Every challenge you face has the potential to become a turning point, not because the world suddenly becomes easier, but because you learn to adapt, to grow, and to expand in ways you wouldn't have without that resistance. Transformation often disguises itself as struggle. Behind the scenes, the challenges you meet are quietly molding your resilience, sharpening your decisions, and deepening your strength. What feels like a wall is sometimes the very doorway you needed to discover a new part of yourself. This is why mindset is everything. If you see the obstacle only as a burden, it becomes heavy, suffocating, even paralyzing. But if you choose to view it as your path, you reclaim power from it. Suddenly, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you start asking, "What is this here to teach me?" And in that moment, the obstacle loses its sting because you stop fighting against it and begin walking through it with purpose. This shift changes the impact of every struggle in your journey because nothing is wasted anymore, not even the pain. And it doesn't stop there. Living with integrity is what keeps you steady while navigating these challenges. If it's not right, don't do it. If it's not true, don't say it. Life becomes less confusing when you apply this simple compass. It may sound like common sense, but think of how many complications are born when people act against what they know to be right, or when they twist words away from the truth. Every time you align action with integrity, you remove unnecessary storms from your path. You don't need to justify or over-explain because your choices stand on their own. Integrity is clarity. And when your decisions come from a place of truth, the noise around you loses its power to shake you. Life is, in the end, what your thoughts make of it. That phrase may sound simple, but its depth is profound. Everything you experience is filtered through your perspective. Two people can live through the same event and come away with completely different realities, simply because their thoughts shape the story in different ways. This is the hidden architecture of your life. What you dwell on becomes the foundation of who you are. If your thoughts are chained to regret or fear, you live a life of regret and fear. If your thoughts anchor themselves in possibility, strength, and presence, you begin to live a reality that reflects those choices. Anchoring yourself in the present moment is the most powerful decision you can make. The past can't be changed, and the future is not yet written. What you have is this moment, and this is where your life truly happens. Too often, people drain themselves in the weight of yesterday or the anticipation of tomorrow, forgetting that peace, clarity, and transformation can only unfold in the now. The present is where your mindset has the most impact, where your decisions hold the greatest power, and where the real journey of becoming unfolds. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you start to see obstacles as teachers, integrity as your compass, and the present as your true foundation, life takes on a different rhythm. It becomes less about surviving what happens and more about creating who you become through it all. And I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a moment where an obstacle turned out to be the very thing that redirected your life in a powerful way? If that resonates, write in the comments, "The obstacle became my path." It will serve as both your own affirmation and as encouragement for someone else who might be standing in front of their own wall right now. Difficulties strengthen the mind in ways comfort never can. Every challenge you face is like weight against a muscle. It feels heavy, it even hurts, but it forces growth that nothing else could produce. And yet, most of our suffering doesn't even come from reality itself. It comes from imagination. We picture worst-case scenarios, replay fears that haven't happened, and give energy to shadows that only exist in our thoughts. The hidden truth is that the anticipation of pain is often more damaging than the pain itself. Reality, when it arrives, is usually manageable, but the endless loops of imagined suffering drain you before life even asks you to endure anything. That's why transformation begins in the mind. When you stop feeding your imagination with fear, you open the door to resilience. Time, contrary to how we often treat it, isn't scarce. What makes it feel scarce is waste those countless hours lost in distraction, overthinking, resentment, or chasing validation that doesn't matter. When you pause and look behind the scenes of your daily life, you realize that much of your time isn't stolen, it's surrendered. And once you see this hidden truth, you can't unsee it. Adversity, on the other hand, has the opposite effect. It doesn't steal your time, it intensifies it. Every difficulty polishes your character the way friction polishes a gem. Without that friction, the gem remains dull, hidden in roughness. With it, your edges are shaped into clarity and strength. The impact is undeniable. Your scars often become the most beautiful parts of you because they carry the story of what you overcame. The greatest revelation comes when you recognize that the most powerful person is not the one who controls others, but the one who masters themselves. True freedom is not about dominating circumstances or bending people to your will. It's about discipline, restraint, and clarity of self. Self-mastery is the rarest form of strength because it demands honesty. It requires you to face your impulses, your weaknesses, your destructive patterns, and decide differently, again and again. That is where transformation happens, in the choices no one else sees, in the mindset shifts that no one applauds, but that shape your destiny in silence. Imagine the journey of someone who has not yet mastered themselves, constantly pulled by anger, led by fear, or chained by old habits. World feels chaotic because their inner world is chaotic. Now imagine the opposite. Someone who can stand calmly in the middle of chaos because they have already conquered the storm inside. That's the impact of self-mastery. It doesn't mean life stops testing you. It means you stop crumbling every time it does. Control over the self is true freedom, because nothing external can enslave you when your inner world is disciplined and anchored. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you truly see difficulties as teachers, time as an ally rather than an enemy, and self-mastery as the ultimate form of strength, you begin to live differently. You stop fearing adversity and start using it. You stop wasting time and start investing it. You stop chasing control over others and start reclaiming it within yourself. That shift doesn't just change your mindset, it changes the entire trajectory of your journey. And I'd like to hear from you. Have you ever realized that your imagined fears caused you more suffering than reality ever did? If that resonates, write in the comments, "I choose mastery." Those words can remind you of your own power and might inspire someone else who is ready to step out of fear and into freedom. Friendship and love bring a kind of joy that outlasts achievements, applause, or fleeting victories. They ground you in something real, something that expands your heart rather than feeding your ego. But here's a hidden truth many overlook. Before you can experience lasting joy through friendship or love with others, you must first become a true friend to yourself. That inner companionship is the foundation. If your inner voice is cruel, if your self-talk is filled with judgment, no amount of affection from others will ever feel enough. Progress begins the moment you treat yourself with the same loyalty, patience, and care that you would offer someone you deeply love. Behind the scenes of every transformation, there is this quiet shift where you stop fighting yourself and start walking with yourself. That shift alone can change the entire journey of your life. The way you relate to yourself determines the way you relate to the world. If you are constantly at war with your own reflection, then even the most beautiful connections can feel fragile. But when you cultivate respect within, you create space for respect around you. Love ceases to feel like something you must beg for. It becomes something that naturally flows to you because you already embody it. The impact of this transformation is profound. Relationships stop being about filling your emptiness and instead become about sharing your wholeness. That's when friendship and love begin to bring true, lasting joy, because they are no longer built on desperation, but on abundance. And here's where attention comes in. You become what you pay attention to. Every thought you nurture, every image you replay in your mind, every story you tell yourself, they are quietly shaping you. Focus is the sculptor of your reality. If your attention is consumed by fear, negativity, or comparison, then your life begins to take the form of those shadows. But when you direct your focus toward growth, toward truth, toward transformation, you step into a different kind of power. You are no longer passively shaped by circumstance. You are actively designing the architecture of your inner world. This is not just a motivational idea. It's a hidden truth about how the mind works. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. And where your energy flows, your life follows. Paying attention to growth doesn't mean ignoring pain or pretending difficulties don't exist. It means choosing not to be defined by them. It means using them as raw material for your evolution instead of anchors that keep you stuck. That single decision to direct your focus with intention becomes the turning point in your journey. It changes the impact of everything around you, because suddenly, even the smallest details of daily life become opportunities for growth rather than reasons for complaint. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you understand how friendship with yourself transforms every connection and how your attention sculpts the reality you live in, you begin to see that your mindset is not just influencing your journey, it is your journey. The thoughts you feed are the seeds of the life you are building, and the way you treat yourself is the foundation on which everything else stands. And I'd love to hear from you. Have you noticed how your life shifts when you finally give yourself the same compassion you give to others? If so, put down in the comments, "I am my own friend." That simple phrase is a declaration of power, a reminder of inner loyalty, and it might just encourage someone else to begin walking alongside themselves with the same respect. If you've stayed with me all the way here, it probably means something in this message resonated deeply with you. That's exactly why I'd love to invite you to subscribe to the channel so you can keep receiving content that nourishes your mindset and strengthens the way you walk through life. And since you made it to the end, let's make this moment special. Drop in the comments, "I'm with you until the end." It'll be our little signal that you're part of this journey, and it may even inspire someone else scrolling through to pause and reflect. If this conversation felt meaningful, go ahead and leave a like on the video. It's a simple way of showing that this exchange connected with you. And before you go, don't stop here. There's a video right here that beautifully complements what we've just explored. Click and continue with me over there, and let's keep unfolding this path together.